Imagine a single gaming franchise holding an entire industry in its grip for over 2 decades, defeating and killing any competition that has challenged it. From backlash from the community throughout its history, to people hoping one day one game will dethrone the king of shooters. Somehow, Call of Duty is still one of the best-selling games every single year. Is that absolute power, or does the illusion of an empire hide its vulnerabilities?
That's how he's gonna fall! And it's happened! It's gonna get the defuse! Ladies and gentlemen, your winners for the 2015 Call of Duty Championship!
Join us as we dig into its dominance, and will it truly last forever? The answers might surprise you. Welcome to Grimline, everyone. My name is Mike, and this is the story of how Call of Duty became a gaming empire. The year is 2003. Online gaming is in its early stages. LAN parties and local player were still the co-op method of playing at this time. In October 2003, a new game name will be born, known as Call of Duty. Call of Duty 1 was released initially for Microsoft Windows and was a World War II game in which it mainly focused on campaign missions where you play throughout World War II from the American, British, and Soviet Union sides of the war respectively. It also featured a multiplayer mode, which at the time was just in its basic stages. The game was developed to compete with other shooters such as Medal of Honor and Battlefield 1942. Eventually, a few years later, Call of Duty 2 released in 2005 and Call of Duty 3 released in 2006. Were both released following the same structure of the World War II first-person shooter formats. But everything was about to change in 2007, which no one knew at the time the impact it would have 20 years later on first-person shooters. 2007 saw the release of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. COD 4 did not just raise the bar, it redefined what multiplayer first-person shooters could be. 2007 was known as the year of COD 4. Modern Warfare rewrote the rules. Up until then, shooters had mostly clung to the World War II nostalgia, with bolt-action rifles and trench warfare. But Modern Warfare dragged players into a gritty, modern conflict filled with insurgents, covert ops, and political conspiracies that felt ripped from the headlines. Starting with the campaign, it was not just a shooting gallery, but a cinema experience that put you in situations that made you feel so immersed in the game you were there. One of the most famous missions in any campaign known to date debuted known as All Gillied Up, where you're in Chernobyl as a sniper crawling through tall grass, your heart racing as enemy patrols pass inches away. And then there was that nuke scene, a jaw-dropping moment where players witnessed the death of their own character in a nuclear blast. Call of Duty had always been about action, but Modern Warfare proved it could shock, immerse, and even disturb. The campaign already had defined itself of setting the bar for the future, but the true revolution wasn't the campaign, it was the multiplayer. For the first time, COD 4 revolutionized the multiplayer experience, nailing a progressive system that hooked players for months. Unlocking weapons through experience points, grinding for attachments, chasing gold camos, it created a feedback loop that made every match feel awarding. Kill streaks entered for the first time, which was a huge game changer. Calling a UAV after 3 kills, an airstrike after 5, and a helicopter after 7. Subtly, matches had a rhythm of escalation, rewarding skill and punishing mistakes. It was addictive, it was chaotic, and it was fun. Modern Warfare didn't just create a game, it built the culture. With the Xbox 360's revolutionary Xbox Live parties coming more of a dominant force in online gaming, COD 4 became an infamous battlegrounds of both skill and trash talk. YouTube content exploded with sniper montages, 360 no-scopes, and highlight reels set to edgy music. Call of Duty wasn't just a pastime, it was an identity. If you played games in 2007, odds are you played Modern Warfare. By the end of the game cycle, it had sold over 16 million copies, massive for its time, and established an annual cycle that would dominate gaming calendars for years. Its DNA can still be found in today's shooters, from unlockable progression to cinematic campaigns. More than a game, Modern Warfare was the moment Call of Duty transformed from a respected franchise into a global empire. After the massive success of COD 4, Activision faced a big challenge. How do you follow up a game that changed the industry? Well, in 2008, Treyarch released Call of Duty World at War, It returned to the World War II style, but with a darker, grittier vision than the series had ever seen before. World at War is often overlooked in this era of Call of Duty, but it brought the Modern Warfare gameplay, progression system, and kill streaks with combining the roots of Call of Duty once was with the return of a World War II styled gameplay. The campaign focused on Pacific missions and Eastern missions of World War II, flipping between the two, showcasing the horrors of war with shocking realism. But World at War isn't primarily known for its multiplayer or campaign experience. This game unlocked something big that could have been its own franchise series and its own standalone game. Just a small secret feature after finishing the campaign. Players were suddenly dropped into Nach der Untoten. A mysterious survival map which turned out to be one of the greatest additions to the Call of Duty series. This was the introduction of Call of Duty Zombies. Starting off with Nach der Untoten, a simple small map where players would progress in rounds fighting off zombies, while each round getting harder. The Wonder Weapon was introduced, with the first being the ray gun in Nach der Untoten, and the second being the Wonder Waffle in the iconic WWII DLC map, which also introduced the Pack-a-Punch machine, which allowed players to upgrade their guns to be better equipped for later rounds. World at War, although overshadowed by the other Call of Duties of this time period, was a phenomenon of its own and pushed boundaries with the darker storytelling of Call of Duty was now able to produce. In many ways, World at War was the hidden catalyst that shaped the golden era of Call of Duty to come. Going back to the modern era of Call of Duty after World at War, with COD 4 breaking the ice for the Call of Duty franchise, something bigger was coming at the end of 2009. A game that was built upon COD 4 and has so much legacy behind it that it defined the gaming world to this present day, and will continue to do so for decades in the future. 2009 saw the release of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 didn't only just build on the success of Modern Warfare, it turned Call of Duty into the biggest entertainment property on the planet. Midnight launch is packed with thousands of fans, record-breaking sales, and non-stop headlines. MW2 wasn't just a game, it was a cultural event. The campaign alone pushed the boundaries in ways no one expected. The most infamous mission being No Russian. It's probably one of the most controversial, mind-boggling, and heavily debated missions ever developed for a video game that made news headlines everywhere. The campaign alone sparked mainstream debates about violence in video games, censorship, and the player choice. Call of Duty was officially in the global spotlight. As well put together MW2's campaign was, the real legacy was MW2's multiplayer. The chaos was perfected. Customizable kill streaks turned matches into escalating wars. Chopper gunners, AC-130s, and the legendary 25 kill streak tactical nuke ending the game instantly. Maps like Terminal, Favela, High Rise, and the Godfather 1v1's Rust became battleground legends. The community discovered exploits, from one-man army noob tubes to commando prolongs, that were broken, frustrating, and unforgettable. Every gun was OP, from the legendary UMP-45 to the ACR. MW2 multiplayer was unbalanced, but in the most beautifully fun way possible. YouTube gaming had exploded. Xbox Live parties were full every night, trickshot and clans blew up such as FaZe and Optic, while also gaining momentum in the pro COD scene, building the foundation of careers none of them could have expected. People who didn't even play games all knew what Call of Duty was. On launch day alone, MW2 generated $310 million, which was more than the biggest movies and music albums at the time. Activision didn't just have a hit, they had found the jackpot and had the most profitable entertainment release in history. MW2 cemented Call of Duty's place at the top of the industry. It proved that COD wasn't just a shooter franchise, it was a global empire capable of dominating culture, media, and conversation. For many fans, MW2 wasn't just the peak of Call of Duty, it was the peak of gaming itself. By late 2010, the next introduction of the franchise was introduced. MW2 was the peak of chaos, but the introduction of Black Ops 1 multiplayer was a fan fave. But the real cultural legacy lies with Black Ops 1 Zombies. World at War's beginnings with zombies had now expanded to Black Ops 1, which opened the floodgates to global scale audiences, defining its own legacy in the process. World at War walked so Black Ops 1 could run. Black Ops 1 took the game back into the Cold War era of shooters, with a campaign focused on the Soviet Union, Cuba, and Vietnam, which mixed real-world events with fictional conspiracies. The game was dark, creepy, and the story unfolded through flashbacks from your character, following around Alex Mason. The home screen featured you in a chair getting interrogated, where they dove deep into your mind of what happened. It gave you chills just opening the game up. The multiplayer built upon MW2 with new kill streaks, and legendary maps being introduced such as Nuketown and Firing Range. Sniper clans and YouTube montages exploded, as well as game modes such as Sticks and Stones and One-Man Chambers being introduced. It was a playground for creativity and bragging rights. The most important contribution to Call of Duty's empire came from Black Ops 1 Zombies. World at War had first introduced zombies, but Black Ops 1 took it mainstream. Kino der Toten, known as Theater by the community, became an instant classic, as well as 5, having you locked in the Pentagon playing as Presidents JFK and Nixon, with a story being told with each new map being introduced. What became just a fun game mode in World at War had now become an entirely different game of its own. The introduction of Easter eggs following hidden steps became a grind and built up massive YouTube fan bases following the zombies lore, and storylines spanning over multiple dimensions over the past, following Germany's secrets in World War II to the Cold War era. Treyarch didn't just make a survival mode, they built a story. The characters Richtofen, Dempsey, Nikolai, and Takio became icons. Black Ops wasn't just another Call of Duty. It was the best-selling entry of all time at launch, moving over 30 million copies. Midnight releases became global events, with fans camping outside of stores. Competitive play grew, and YouTube content creators thrived. From snipers to zombie hunters, for many gamers, Black Ops wasn't just a favorite COD, it was their favorite game of all time. By 2011, Call of Duty was the biggest entertainment franchise in the world, coming off the explosive success of Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops. Expectations for Modern Warfare 3 were massive. Not only did it have to top its predecessors, it had to wrap up the trilogy that had defined Call of Duty's rise to global dominance. The campaign story picked up right where MW2 left off, wrapping it up with the ending being epic. Running in as Captain Price in a Juggernaut suit, with the epic battle finally ending the antagonist with a brutal scene. The campaign had finally concluded with one of the best story playthroughs a person could have experienced over the course of a 3-game series. MW3's multiplayer was more of a "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" approach. It followed the success of MW2's multiplayer with a refinement over revolution approach. New maps were introduced, with some iconic ones being Dome and Hard Hat. Killstreaks changed some names, with the Nuke being replaced as a Moab, with new game modes being introduced with the iconic Infected mode, which became a Call of Duty icon, as well as Spec Ops being expanded upon, with players fighting off endless waves of enemies. MW3 was in its own right a great game, but more of a filler game. Infinity Ward and Activision had faced issues internally during this time with developers, resulting in a game that is more of a copy of its predecessor rather than its own standalone game. MW3 was the final victory lap for the Modern Warfare series, and its successor would become a revolution of its own. Following the trend of Infinity Ward and Treyarch trading off development cycles each year of Call of Duty titles at the time, Treyarch was about to release their new game, a game in which would become their version of MW2, but with the added bonus of having zombies, a blend of perfect harmony, and to the final iteration of the golden era of Call of Duty. 2012 saw the release of Black Ops 2, which is considered one of the most ambitious and innovative Call of Duty games ever made. Treyarch followed up their hugely successful Black Ops 1 with something bold. Rather than playing it safe, they gambled on innovation, blending Cold War history with near-future warfare set in 2025, introducing player choice in the campaign and redefining competitive multiplayer. For many fans, this wasn't just another Call of Duty, this was peak COD. Black Ops 2 campaign broke the mold. Instead of a strictly linear story, players made choices that shaped the outcome. Side missions called Strike Force Ops let players control squads, drones, and vehicles, creating a hybrid of strategy and FPS. The result was multiple possible endings, a first for the franchise. At the center of it all was Mendez, one of the best villains Call of Duty ever created. Unlike faceless terrorists, Mendez was charismatic, smart, and deeply personal. His rise as a populist figurehead made the story eerily relevant, and his rivalry with the Mason family tied the futuristic setting back to Black Ops Cold War roots. Multiplayer was where Black Ops 2 truly shined. Treyarch introduced Pick 10, a brand new creative class system that gave players unprecedented freedom in building loadouts. Want 3 attachments and no grenades? Go for it. Want 6 perks and a knife? totally possible. This flexibility made the meta fresh and exciting. Quickscoping became iconic, with FaZe exploding in popularity with trickshotting and montages. Following the rise of the COD Pro scene, Black Ops 2 introduced League play. For the first time, Call of Duty had a built-in competitive ranking system modeled after professional esports rules. Maps like Raid, Standoff, and Slums became iconic arenas, and Black Ops 2 became the foundation of COD esports as we know it. Pro players like Scump, Nadeshot, and Crimsix rose to fame during this era, cementing COD as a true spectator esport. By 2012, Zombies wasn't just a fun extra mode anymore. It was a major selling point. With Black Ops 2, Treyarch went bigger, bolder, and stranger, creating a mode that felt almost like a game within a game. This was the point where Zombies developed its own identity, community, and mythology that was full-blown mainstream. Zombies had a rough start though, with the launch map being Transit, in which the idea was very cool, but the gameplay itself wasn't. Transit was designed as multiple maps in one. There were 5 main locations, being the bus depot, diner, farm, power station, and town. A bus, operated by a robot named Ted, would make stops between these locations. The next map, being Die Rise, would also not help the Zombies community, as the map was structured vertically between 2 skyscrapers. But following the legendary maps of Mob of the Dead, based on Alcatraz Island being a cinematic masterpiece, and Origins in a digging site with lore-shaking events and introducing the 4 legendary staffs, solidified BO2 Zombies in the Call of Duty universe. Black Ops 2 wasn't just another Call of Duty. By now, Call of Duty was the main frontrunner in gaming. Activision and Treyarch were able to create the perfect first-person shooter game that is in everyone's top 5 of all time. It was the perfect blend of innovation and suspense, capturing everyone from the casual fans to zombie players to hardcore competitors. Black Ops 2 was peak Call of Duty. As Black Ops 2 was the peak of Call of Duty, at the time, people didn't know the future, but as high as COD had climbed, BO2 was the top of the mountain, and what comes up must come down. After Black Ops 2, Call of Duty started its decline, which it would rarely ever come close to being near this point again. This was the start of Call of Duty's downfall. Guys, if you very much enjoyed the first part of this 2-part series, please drop a like down below. Spent a lot of time making this video and would love your feedback to improve for the next video. So also, please drop a comment down below and subscribe if you haven't already for the second part that will be coming out very soon. Until next time guys, take care and have a nice day.